So we'll talk about it. My main man, 50 grand, Filip Hrgovic. He's been a bit quiet, following what his last fight was against, I think, was David Adelaide. He beat Joe Joyce, then he beat David Adelaide. So yeah, he hasn't really been on social media a lot since that David Adelaide fight. It was a fun fight. He scored a knockdown. He almost got knocked out. And so he's been really quiet, just enjoying his time with his family. He hasn't became what I thought he'd become in boxing. Yeah, he probably never will. I'm coming to grips with the fact that he's not as good as I thought he was, maybe, but he still wants to test himself. One thing about Hrgovic is he's always been free smoke. He's always been willing, ready, and able to fight the best guys, and that trend will continue heading into 2026 because he's called out a couple guys. So I'm gonna play you guys the clip, and then we will dissect from there. Here's what Filip Hrgovic said about his plans in 2026.
I hope so. I'll be in the ring soon. There are a few very good options. The best option for me would be to face Fabio Wardley for WBO belt, and I hope so that happen next. But he got voluntary defense, so we'll see who he gonna choose. Also, I would like to face Agit Kabayel in Germany. It will be a great fight, big fight. He got big following here, and there's a lot of Croatians in Germany, so it will be a great fight. Also, there's option to face Daniel Dubois in a rematch. Everyone knows that I was sick and injured before that fight, so I wasn't at my best level. So I would welcome that fight as well. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks, but I'm always open for all good fights.
So there you have it. Filip Hrgovic is calling out the biggest and best names in the division. And, look, people are giving Usyk a lot of flack for not wanting to fight Agit Kabayel. I don't think Usyk will ever fight Agit Kabayel. He's one of the most murderous and vicious body punchers in the entire sport. You see Usyk, he's trying to fight Deontay Wilder, who really is past it. He's not getting criticized for it because, he don't really speak English, and people just don't really think about Usyk unless he's fighting. So he's getting a pass for it. Maybe if Wilder does look as shot to pieces as a lot of people think he is, maybe Usyk will get criticized for it later on. But Kabayel is one of those guys that he should be fighting. But Usyk probably doesn't fight Kabayel. I like the fight with Hrgovic and Kabayel. I thought that's a really good fight. Right now I favor Kabayel, but again, Hrgovic has throughout the duration of his career, he's always been free smoke. He's always been willing, ready, and able to fight the best guys. He mentioned Fabio Wardley, a guy that I think would have a pretty good hand speed advantage against them. Probably one of the biggest punchers in the division. Not probably, he is one of the biggest punchers in the division. He just stopped Joseph Parker, and right now he is the current WBO champion. Hrgovic would have got a world title shot against Anthony Joshua, or he would have actually been world champion. He would have got elevated if he would have beat Daniel Dubois. But unfortunately, he didn't beat Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois beat him. He got elevated. He became champion. He fought Joshua. So naturally, Hrgovic wants the Dubois rematch, which I want to see because Dubois, he's now he got beat up pretty bad by Usyk in their rematch. He got rid of Don Charles, which I thought was retarded. I thought him getting rid of Don Charles was one of the stupidest things he could possibly do because Don Charles was able to elevate Dubois mentally. Physically, he always had all the tools, but mentally, Don Charles was able to get the best tune out of Daniel Dubois. So look, I'm cool with either one of them three fights. I feel like Hrgovic should get one of those three fights. Going back to screen share, he should get one of those three fights because if you look at the landscape of the division, as far as the WBO in fighting Wardley, Moses Itama had a fight scheduled with Jermaine Franklin, and no matter what anybody thinks about Moses Itama is a guy that Ben Davison and all parties involved on that side, they're not rushing him as much as the boxing world wants to rush him. They were adamant, well in advance, like before the Dillian White fight even ended, they were already talking about fighting Jermaine Franklin because they felt like he was the guy that could give them rounds and help season Moses more as a professional fighter. Then Jermaine Franklin actually wound up upsetting Ivan Ditchko, who was an undefeated, Olympian, good heavyweight. So it actually gave him a reason to fight, frankly, even though a lot of people thought Franklin lost that fight and he didn't look good. That fight got scrapped. So right now, Moses has to figure out what the next step for his career is. So I think right now there is a pathway for Hrgovic to fight Fabio Wardley. As far as Kabayel, I mean, Kabayel is the interim WBC champion, so he is technically Usyk's mandatory. So if he can't get the Usyk fight, maybe he fights Lawrence Okoli, who's been calling him out. But like, who wants to see Lawrence Okoli fight Kabayel? Lawrence Okoli has an ugly style. You understand? Dubois too in the WBC. I don't know, man. I think Hrgovic should get one of these fights. I think this year is going to be his ultimate do or die year. This is the year. Like, and you guys know, I'm like the president of the Filip Hrgovic American fan club, member of one. I've always thought highly of him. I've seen him in the gym plenty of times. I know for a fact it's not my thought. It's not my it's not something that I know for a fact that the guy that I've seen in the gym has not been the guy I've seen on Fight Night. And I told you guys this a number of times. I feel like the reason why Hrgovic never quite looks the way he never looks like the fighter I see in the gym when he fights, because I think he overtrains himself. I think that's a habit that he's developed over the years, and it shows itself on Fight Night quite a lot. So we'll see how it goes. I would say, even though he would probably go in as the underdog in probably all those fights against Kabayel, against Dubois in a rematch, and against Wardley, I think he can still win those fights. I think if the best Filip Hrgovic shows up or anything close to it, that guy is still a problem for the heavyweight division. Because if you look at it, right, I mean, Filip Hrgovic, we all know when you talk about the fight game in the heavyweight division, heavyweights don't mature the same way fighters other weight classes do. They tend to have some of the best years in boxing in their mid-30s. So where is Hrgovic now? Hrgovic is now 33 years old. He's got 20 fights in the pro ranks. He's been the ups and the downs. He's experiences guys ducking him as the mandatory, losing a fight, being in some close fights and finding a way to win. Quiet as kept. Like I said, I've said it many times. I'll say it again. I feel like I actually feel like Hrgovic has one of the better resumes in the heavyweight division. He fought Zhang when guys weren't trying to fight Zhang, beat him in a close fight, lost to Dubois. Hrgovic mentioned being sick for that fight or whatever. Now I don't know if he was sick. I won't speak much on him being sick. I know a lot of the Croatian papers have talked about him being sick and things like that. So I won't speak much on that because I don't really know about that. But what I can tell you is, I know for a fact one of the things that may have played a factor as to why Hrgovic wasn't better in that fight was the fact that his wife was pregnant during that camp. And I remember that, and the reason I know this is because I was in Miami and I interviewed Hrgovic while she was pregnant. She was in the gym and she was pregnant. And so we all know that when a child is being born, that can affect anybody's life, And I remember my dad, shout out to Pops, my dad had bought some stuff for the baby and things like that. Because Pops is the man. But that being said, Filip Hrgovic, I think that played more of a role than him being sick, being honest, in my opinion. No excuse. He lost the fight. He wasn't good enough that night, and it is what it is. But Dubois has now lost to Usyk, so now him and Hrgovic are on the same level. He's coming off of a loss. Hrgovic's coming off 2 wins. They're both ranked in and around of each other. They're both trying to get back to the top of the division. Why not do a rematch? Because I feel like personally, if there was a more fair ref that would have policed some of the dirty tactics of Dubois, I think Hrgovic would have beat Dubois that night, honestly. But that's just me. And then he fought Joe Joyce on short notice, and then he fought Dave Adelaide. He's got a good resume. So hopefully Hrgovic can get one of these fights, because it's been a pain in the ass in his career of getting these guys to fight him. People like to say that certain fighters aren't the boogeyman, but when truckloads of fighters continuously turn you down and don't fight you and go the other way, I mean, what else do you call a fighter, So I'm cool with any one of those fights. If Hrgovic can beat any one of those 3, that right there would change, in my opinion, the trajectory of his career. Kabayel right now is looked at to probably be the best heavyweight who's not a champion right now. Wardley just beat Joseph Parker in one of the best fights you'll ever see, and he's now a champion. And then Dubois already has one against Hrgovic. So you beat him, now you avenge that loss. Now, that puts you kind of, it wipes your record clean. So, Yeah, really, really interesting fights. Which fights do you guys want to see out of those three? If I had my pick, I would like to see Filip Hrgovic fight Ajit Kabayel. I like the idea of Hrgovic going to Germany. Even though I know people were very critical of the Kabayel stoppage on Damian Kimba over the weekend, and they may feel like, any fighter who goes to Germany will be on the wrong side of corruption, and it's very possible. I'm pretty sure that's very possible. Hrgovic cuts easily. They might wait the fight off if Hrgovic gets cut. It's possible. But from a just purely technical standpoint, Kabayel is one of boxing's most murderous body punchers. Filip Hrgovic is probably one of the most durable fighters in the division in terms of his chin and things like that. And he can box. He has a very long, lengthy amateur pedigree. He's got one of the best right hands in the division in terms of accuracy. And I still don't think like he's fought his best fight. And I think a guy like Kabayel would bring the best Filip Hrgovic to the table. And I think the best Filip Hrgovic on the night could possibly be the guy